everyone, and welcome to today's Signing Day News Conference. Coach Holgorsen will come forward and talk about the signing class, and he will field some questions, and then we will have the assistant coaches available afterwards. So let's go ahead and begin. West Virginia head coach, Dana Holgorsen.
Okay, welcome everybody. First want to just tell everybody how much I appreciate recruiting coordinator Ryan Dorchester, who's in the back here, for the job that he's done on getting this class together. He's done a tremendous job, and he's celebrating his birthday today, so happy birthday, Ryan. The rest of the staff's in attendance here that you guys can get for some of these guys. A lot of these guys, several of these guys are first time you've had available access to be able to talk with these guys, but just commend the staff on the job that they did of getting this class together. If you look at the dynamics of it, you know, we've got 25 guys in the fold right now. 7 of them are already on campus, so we've actually been coaching 7 of these guys, you know, already. Shavis Rollins, Dreamus Smith, Wendell Smallwood, DeKill Shorts, Kevin White, Hodari Christian, and Malik Greaves are already on campus and doing a good job for us right now. So we're treating them just like we're treating everybody else that's been here, whether it's for a year or 3 years. So those guys are doing a good job. The thing about this class that stands out to me probably a little bit more than anything is we got these. We went to 15 different states to get these guys. You know, if you look at what happened last year, it was you know, the surrounding states and down south a lot. One of the things that we wanted to focus on a little bit this year was just trying to get some more guys from the surrounding states. You know, we've got 4 kids out of Pennsylvania, about 2 from Western and 2 from Eastern Pennsylvania, 3 from New Jersey, 3 from Ohio, 3 from Georgia, 2 from Florida, and then 1 each from the states of West Virginia, Texas, Mississippi, California, Delaware, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Maryland. That's a lot of travel time, and it's not easy to get anywhere, you know. So these coaches have been doing a heck of a job of, you know, we'd come back for recruiting weekends, and then Sunday we'd hit the road and be traveling all over the country. And you know, you get a kid from, you know, from like a Devontae Henry from who's from Oklahoma but out in Arizona. I mean, that's a lot of trips out that way to be able to go out and get those things. So it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. Truly appreciate the job that the guys did, and the support that we have from the administration from a recruiting standpoint to be able to get out there and make this happen. From a booster club standpoint, you know, the 1100 club is important to us because it takes a lot of time and money to be able to get to all these places to be able to fill your class out. So, you know, just excited about all that. So, as far as specifically, you know, as far as what we're looking for, we made a strong emphasis defensively of getting guys that can rush the passer. You know, and you know, everybody was like, your woes defensively were pass defense. You better go out there and you better sign as many corners as you possibly can. Well, that's a very uneducated statement. You know, you better find D linemen to be able to rush the passer. Well, that's an uneducated statement as well. What we really wanted to do, which was something that was deficient with what we were doing last year defensively, and we also lost Josh Francis and Terrence Garvin to graduation. I mean, we weren't very deep at those positions at all, and they're gone. So that was a need. And when you add guys like Brandon Golston from Georgia Military, mentioned Devontae Henry from Arizona Western, Don Trill Hyman, who Coach Mitchell got out of Mississippi. These guys are pass rushers. They're long. They're able to get to the quarterback. Marvin Gross from over at Dunbar, you know, can rush the passer. Outside linebacker type guys, even along the lines of Jeremy Tyler from Atlanta, Isaac McDaniel from down in South Florida. These are safety type bodies that are going to be tremendous in you know, from a nickel standpoint. That is something that was what we're after defensively, and I think we handled all those needs. You know, don't want to leave out Al Rashid, who's from New Jersey. Physically, he's probably as dynamic as we've seen. Would probably stand. If you put him with our whole team right now, you wouldn't be able to tell that he was a new kid. He's physically pretty good. From a special team standpoint, you know, we wanted to get out, and Coach DeForest did a great job of identifying Nick O'Toole, who's a junior college kid out of California, who's his upside is unbelievable. I mean, he's a big 6'3", 6'4" kid that has game experience that will be able to come in, and with Coach DeForest being able to work with him, that gives us a scholarship punter in addition to Josh Lambert, who redshirted last year as a kicker, and John DePalma as a deep snapper. So we got 3 guys on scholarship that we feel good about, not only next year, but they're all young and will be able to help us for years to come. Offensively, ended up getting 13 guys. You know, the biggest thing offensively, you know, running back, last year we just had some problems from a depth standpoint, as we all know. So being able to add Dreamus Smith and Wendell Smallwood and Eli Wellman, that it's going to give us a tremendous amount of depth at that position. Then you obviously throw in Dustin Garrison, you know, with Bowie and Clay. We got some bodies. We got more bodies at that position than we've had since we've been here. So feel good about that. From an offensive line standpoint, you know, excited about getting those guys in here. Marcel Lazar, Tyler Cousineau, Stone Underwood, and Grant Lingelfelter. Just, you know, from an O-line standpoint, if you're not adding 4 to 5 a year, then from a depth standpoint, it's going to end up catching up to you. So having a lot of those guys be able to come in to give us, I think, what makes 15 bodies on the offensive line right now. Coach Biedenbaugh's yelling at me in the back there because he felt like we should add 3 or 4 more. Never can have enough offensive line, but I like where we're at from a depth standpoint. We've got to establish some starters there, which is what spring practice is all about. You know, but probably the biggest need offensively is just playmakers on offense. When you lose, you know, all your production and a receiver standpoint with Tavon and Stedman and JD, I mean, you better go out and you better get some guys that have that kind of ability. And, you know, I think we did that with adding 5 guys. You got 3 junior college players. Kevin White's already on campus, and he's a grown man. Look forward to coaching him. DeKeel Schwartz is on campus, and he's a grown man. Is adjusting to college quickly. And then the new guys, which are all, you know, kind of, you know, I don't want to place them in the Tavon Stedman category, but they're 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" guys that have just a tremendous amount of twitch. Mario Alford, looking at tape, is dynamic as I've seen. You know, it just flat out can run. Ronald Carswell can run away from people. And then the last guy that we ended up getting here is Shelton Gibson, who on tape is extremely talented and extremely hard to tackle. So you talk about adding 3 guys starting in June, that when we throw the ball to them, as you know that we're doing, we just get them the ball in space. They're able to make people miss and go score. So, you know, whether the current guys on campus right now can hold those guys off is going to be fun to watch in camp. We'll coach the guys that we have on campus right now, and then just we'll be anxious to add these guys and throw them into the fold as far as you know, being able to find out what we're going to line up for in September of 2013. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. You know, I will open this up for some questions as far as some specifics, but that's just kind of my general thoughts. Ed, I know you're going to go ahead and go first.
Big group of junior college guys. If you could talk about that, the importance of bringing them in and how their experience already is going to help them transition.
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about for quite a while. You know, and identifying those guys is not easy. You gotta spend a lot of time, you know, identifying the guys, making phone calls, and then going and seeing them and seeing if if they're your type of guys. You know, and you know, one thing that I've seen change in college football is the amount of junior college kids that are being recruited. You know, there's been in my years at Texas Tech, and you know, even Houston and Oklahoma State. I mean, it wouldn't be unlikely not to sign any junior college players. And if you look at what's happening this year, a lot of people are going after junior college players, and we went after a bunch and weren't able to get some of them, and then we're able to land 9, which is still a pretty good number. I don't think anybody would have been happy to add 25 of them. So you got to identify some guys, but that you have needs for, and you don't want to bring guys in that you don't have a need for. And we got a need for those guys that, you know, we felt like at running back to get a guy that's experienced and seasoned as Dreamus, and then from a receiver standpoint, obviously we got 0 production coming back. So we needed to add. I mean, the oldest guy in our receiving corps right now is Kevin White. I mean, you know, other than that, we got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores that are going to be out there. So it adds experience there. Stone Underwood, we have a need at center. He's a guy that's a nasty guy that has played a lot of football here in the last 2 years. So, you know, and then like I mentioned, defensively, we needed pass rushers, and to get some grown men, you know, these guys are 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", that physically will be able to, you know, be able to compete in the Big 12. So those guys need to come in and play right away. Otherwise, we wouldn't have went the junior college route.
Your offensive line recruits, you have some need to tackle. Did you look at some longer guys? I know it's sort of something Coach Beanbo likes is longer guys, but did you have to get some tackles in this class?
Well, you know, probably the more important from a game ready standpoint was interior guys. I mean, we lost 4 of our top 5 inside guys, right? So, you know, from a tackle standpoint, having basically our starters coming back. You know, you got Spain coming back, you got Fight coming back. Eggers played tackle. Mark Lewinsky redshirted. You know, so we felt better about the returning guys coming back at tackle. You know, so we wanted to add some game-ready guys, and Stone should be game-ready, and Tyler should be game-ready. Tyler Tesno is a physical, thick kid. I know he's a high school guy, and you can't count on high school guys to come in and play on the O-line. But from a physical standpoint, he could potentially be ready. Marcel Lazard is an enormous person, and you know, Grant Lingelfelter is a guy that's going to be. I mean, he's 6'5", and he's going to grow into his body. So there's 2 potential tackles for the future. I mean, you campaigning for Bill over here. I mean, he wanted 4 or 5 more scholarships.
Keep it up. I appreciate it.
Dana, you know, safeties and linebackers that could potentially move other places. When they come in the fall, how quickly do you, or what process do you have to go through to identify, hey, this guy might be inside, outside, buck, star, move around, how especially for the JUCOs?
Yeah, you know, I mean, their bodies are changing too. You know, Devontae Henry's 205, 210 pounds right now. I mean, you know, what's he going to be like in 2 years? I mean, the sky's the limit for a guy like that. That all those body types, all those tall, long, lean body types, I mean, you don't know what they're going to end up being, whether they're high school guys, whether they're junior college guys. You don't know how they're going to keep maturing. So, you know, you just try to add as many bodies as you can. You let nature take its course. You let them lift and eat, get big and mature and grow older, and you never know where they're going to end up. You know, your goal eventually is just to get your best players out there. But you know, being in the Big 12, knowing what defenses do against us offensively, you're looking at a lot of nickel and a lot of dime packages going in. So our base defense might not have, you know, a ton of those lighter guys out there at times. It just depends on what they're facing, you know. But you're always going to be facing a bunch of pass situations, regardless of who you play. And then in the Big 12, you may be playing against that type of an offense 66% of the time, to where you need a bunch of guys that can rush the passer and move guys down and play them at end, or you know, or move safeties down and play them at outside linebacker. I mean, there's a lot of those situations, and you know, you just got to identify what they do best and who the best guys are and put them out there.
Not to discount the role your previous assistants played in the recruiting process, but the newer guys who did come in at a pretty pivotal time for you. Can you talk about them and kind of the role they played throughout?
Well, there's you know, you always take into consideration what guys bring to the table from a recruiting standpoint, from a geography standpoint. That's half the job, you know, and all these guys do a great job of coaching in, you know, and getting out there recruiting. So in identifying what we needed to have happen, I mean, that was part of the reason why some of these guys were hired. I mean, we know Tony Gibson's a tremendous recruiter, and he's got tremendous ties, and not only the Pennsylvania area, but also across the country. And you know, Lonnie Galloway's done some great things for West Virginia. You know, already recruited some guys, and will pay dividends in years down the road. And you know, Brian Mitchell's a guy that I've seen recruit, and I was able to get in there with some of the connections that he's had to make a little bit of a difference as well. But you know, those guys, in addition to all the rest of the guys that we got here, are going to identify, you know, what areas they're going to be in, which we'll talk later about that, and be able to get in. And 2014 recruiting starts basically today. These guys have been on the phone with a bunch of prospects in 2014, and I know everybody thinks we take a couple of weeks off after signing day's over, but you know, the recruiting thing never ends. So they've already been on the phone with a bunch of 2014 recruits, and we'll get started on that. You know, probably going into the night tonight.
Are there a couple more players you can add to the class, or everybody in that list is everybody that's coming?
Well, it depends how things shake out. You know, we're still actively pursuing a couple of guys for a variety of reasons. You know, you guys know, unless they're signed up, I can't talk about any of that. So we're still actively recruiting a couple of guys, and still have a couple of spots available. Whether we fill those with current guys that we're recruiting, or wait and see what shakes out. You know, after signing day, things shake out. We might identify a couple other guys that we want to bring on board. Might want to bring a couple of transfer guys on board. I mean, there's a couple of spots that we have out there to be able to fill. We'll evaluate that as a staff and make the best decision possible.
What are your numbers right now? How many of the guys that were in early count towards last year, how many spaces do you have left right now?
I think three went back. I'd have to look at it for sure. I know at one point our target was about 27, 28, somewhere in there. So three guys go back. You know, we've had a couple of guys leave the program scholarship-wise. You know, Marge has transferred. Troy Gloucester has decided to graduate early, which opened up a couple of spots. But we're really still at that point where it's a little bit more important to hit your initials than it is, you know, overall hitting the 85. We're not going to hit our 85, and it's because of the initials is the reason why. So I think we're one more, this recruiting class, we got to get all these guys qualified, get them in here, and then we don't have many seniors for next year. You know, so you don't want to just, you know, fill up just to fill up. You want to be able to get the best quality people in here to be able to, you know, have guys on your roster that can win your football games. So it's going to take one more before we really truly max out to where we're at that 85 number prior to hitting our initial number. So this year it's about initials, next year it's about hitting the 85.
With the way junior college recruiting has evolved, is that something you guys are going to look at on an annual basis, or try to get more guys moving forward?
Yeah, it's about getting the best guys. I don't think next year it's going to be as important. And again, you know, once recruiting day's over, you get focusing on your current 2013 team. You know, recruiting's important. It's our lifeline to what we do. You know, but player development is pretty daggone important too. I mean, you got to make sure that you're getting these guys buying into the program, and you know, and getting better on a daily basis when it comes to how they're acting socially. You know, how they're doing academically. You know, how they're doing athletically. Making sure they're doing everything that they can be doing to be getting bigger, faster, stronger, and smarter every single day. You know, so that's probably a little bit. At the end of the day, it's a little bit more important than what the actual recruiting is. You know, so what address that? That's a year-to-year thing.
Trying to determine if players have the ability to do those other things just on the field. How does that impact how you evaluate recruits? I mean, everyone watches film. What do you and your staff try to do to see if they've got that drive, that determination, all these other things you're talking about?
Well, there's only so much time you can spend with them. I mean, you can call them, and you know, maybe they do or maybe they don't answer. You know, I mean, you go see them a couple times. You know, I mean, you do your best. I mean, you try to, you know, figure out. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just getting guys that want to be here more than anything. You know, and that's you spend time with them. You can't sit there and obsess over why kids make decisions to go somewhere else. I mean, you get guys that want to be on your team, and then when you get them here, you try to get them better. Try to get to know them, and you make sure that the parents at home can call and check on them and feel good about that relationship. So, you know, that's one thing I think this staff's done a great job of. You know, we've identified who wants to be here, and these guys that signed today are all guys that want to be here, and we're gonna coach the heck out of them. You know, we're not gonna worry about the guys that didn't want to come here for a variety of reasons. There's all kinds of reasons why guys don't go to specific schools. You know, we can elaborate on that, but you know, it's just the way it is. We'll coach up the guys we want because they want to be here. That's the biggest thing.
Dana, with regard to the 15 states, was that an effort to kind of go out and plant seeds and grow eventually, or is that just where your best guys ended up being that widespread?
Yeah, it's, junior college has had something to do with that. You know, we don't actively recruit North Carolina, South Carolina, although we got in there in the past. You know, Mississippi, I mean, those are, you know, even Alabama a little bit. Those guys, you know, those guys surfaced because of the junior colleges that we were recruiting. California, one came from California, one came from Kansas. We wanted to really actively get into Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, and then we're going to get into Georgia a lot more. Obviously, we're going to be in Florida a lot. We're going to spot Texas a good bit. So, you know, our database will grow tremendously from, you know, basically today through the end of spring into summer. And then at some point, you got to narrow it down for specific reasons, going back to identifying why people want to, you know, what people want to get recruited as, and for the reasons they want to get recruited for. And, you know, if it happens to get narrowed down into 5 states next year, then so be it. But we're not going to be restricted geographically. We're going to go wherever we need to go to get guys that want to be here.
Anyone on this list make you sweat here in the 11th hour or anything that you weren't sure if they were going to sign?
Yeah, 25 of them. No, not the 7 that were early enrolled. I mean, we felt pretty good about those guys heading into the day. You know, we worked those 7 guys out yesterday, and then the other, I guess, 18 guys that signed today. I mean, you never know. I mean, we talked to them all. We talked to all 18 of them yesterday. We talked to all 18 of them again today. There's probably going to be a certain amount of red buttoning these guys here for the next few weeks. We're tired of talking to them, and they're tired of talking to us. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Can you kind of describe what this day is like for you guys as coaches? As you said, you talk to them, these players, all the way up to and including today, and then you sit around the fax machine and wait to see the letters. What's this day like for you guys? Exciting, fun, tense, nervous?
Yeah, it's all of the above. I think, you know. I mean, it's you know, it's still fun. I mean, they call one last time and they say it's in and you're official, and it's good to put closure to it. It's really good to put closure to it. The hardest 48 hours as a coach is Monday, Tuesday before signing day. I mean, because there's nothing you can do. It's over. You think you got your numbers hit. You know, you don't know if they're going to send it back or not. You know, but you know, we did a heck of a job. I think this staff did a heck of a job of identifying the guys that wanted to be here, and you know, we put a list together last night of 18 people, you know, that we thought were going to sign, and all 18 of them signed. So I can assure you, this staff didn't lose sight of the ones that didn't. You know, again, people go to different schools for different reasons, and you know, it's hard to identify all those. But once you identify them, you figure out who your guys are, and you roll with it. So there's some relief to it, and there's some satisfaction to it, and some closure to it, which I think we all look forward to.
Dana, you're always going to lose somebody academically. How do you feel overall about the 25 guys? Are there many that you're going to have to sweat this summer?
There's always guys that you got to keep your eye on. You know, I don't. You know, Coach Dorchester can probably give you a specific percentage. I know there's a high percentage of them that are already qualified. It's not 100. You know, so there's a handful of guys that we will continue to monitor. You know, we will get you know, updates on them from their counselors. You know, coaches, these guys will be in touch with their counselors and their parents, and we'll get updated SAT scores and, you know, and specific updates on that. So yeah, there's still several of them that we'll have to monitor very closely.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, you